Hello and welcome to Your Wrong About Musicals. I'm Esme.
And I'm Nell.
And today we are going to be talking about Tick, Tick, Boom. First, we have some news.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and I hope everyone had a very restful and nice holidays. Personally, I just got sick. There is definitely something going around.
Yeah.
We're about to talk about some cases of people being sick, actually. We've not got much news because everyone does tend to quiet down and enjoy the holidays and not count press releases.
We're in person again, by the way.
Next week, don't worry guys, we're going to go back to being on opposite ends of the country.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
We're both counting down the hours.
I'm trying to think if I have any other personal news. I went to A&E yesterday.
Yeah, Nell got... Do you want to share?
An earring back got stuck inside my ear.
Yeah.
Yes, inside the lobe. And it wasn't painful, it was fine. I was just like,
Did it happen on New Year's Eve?
I don't think it did. Because, so my thing was, I went to go change my earrings on New Year's Eve to wear nicer ones.
Yeah.
When I went to go feel for the back of it, I couldn't feel it.
And you were like, oh, it's an earring back in my ear. I was like, your ear is bleeding.
Because I thought it was going to be like, it was halfway in.
Mm.
And so I'd just be like, Esme, I'm going to ask you to do something really disgusting and just yank it out. And like, I would have made you do it.
I would have been drunk enough to be like, yeah, sure.
But no, she was just like, no, there's like nothing there.
Your
outside
ear is like there is blood around it.
It's this weird like bulge.
No, I just saw blood and went, oh, it's bleeding.
Yeah, but so it was in my ear. And so I didn't really know what to do, but I figured I should get it out. So I went to A&E with my sister.
We also figured that we should not touch it while we were in that state.
Yeah, we were pretty drunk.
It was New Year's.
It was New Year's. But yeah, I went yesterday and it was very chill. Shout out to the NHS.
God bless the NHS.
It took literally 5 minutes. 5 minutes in A&E on what?
The 2nd.
The 2nd of January. Crazy.
It's crazy. What else was I going to say about lifetimes? Oh, I saw Titanic.
Yeah.
You also saw
I saw The Tempest.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It wasn't great.
There is this one.
It was fine.
Yeah.
It just wasn't great. We're having a really deep chat about Jamie Lloyd and his directing
his
or whatever.
shtick at the moment.
Just everywhere I look in your room, I'm just seeing like chocolate coins.
Because at Christmas you get given chocolate coins.
I don't. Can I have one?
Not? Yeah. I have tons. If you couldn't tell.
I know.
That one I lost. I had some more over there. No, I've got them in that little suitcase.
Oh.
Anyway, so let's actually get on to the news. First up, Nell made me write this down. Jimmy Carter died.
I was literally watching something with my sister, like on my phone, and we got the notification and I screamed. At least he got to turn 100. He was just a fucking kid.
I saw you retweet that.
Gone in his prime.
It's so much left to give us. He went, I'm not doing another Trump administration, I'm out.
That's fair.
I wish I could say the same, actually. Wicked grossed $5 million the week of Christmas, which is crazy money. The movie has clearly had an impact. The movie is also out on digital release, and someone is seeing it tomorrow.
I'm seeing it tomorrow at last.
So intrigued to see what you think of it.
I'm gonna like it.
I hope you do. You don't.
I'm really worried my chewing of this chocolate coin is going to be really loud.
You couldn't hear us eating Fantastics last week, or 2 weeks ago, or whatever. If that episode was insane, we'll talk about it in a moment. Next up, Immersive Phantom is seemingly happening. They haven't announced anything. Andrew Lloyd Webber has just done his free agent in the press thing. You can't pin me. You can't tell me not to say anything. Thing. And our dear beloved Sweaty Oracle. If TikTok gets banned,
I'll be distraught.
What's going to happen to the Sweaty Oracle?
I hope he comes to Twitter where everyone hates him. We'll defend him.
I'll defend him. I've got my way in now. So basically, the planning permission for the New York Council had to be submitted, and I may have had a look. Oh, it's publicly available information. I've seen it. It looks sick. I was at first a bit like, why is it costing $200? Allegedly, it's supposed to be costing $200 a ticket. Which is crazy. I say like I'm able just to go to New York like that. If I have the money, I'd go see Immersive Phantom. Another very exciting thing. I had a vision. I was listening to the Warriors yesterday. I had a vision about how I'd stage it.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're doing.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. I think it'd be really good at Circle in the Square.
I think My thought with Warriors is I think you need the trains.
Yeah, that's the only thing of how to do the trains.
I had an idea for it. I think when I first listened to it, I think I told you about it.
Yeah, I remember you
Which
telling
I
me
think
about your
it
idea.
would be fun.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of hard to do.
Hey, if anyone can get a budget, it's Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
Basically, he said that he wants to bring Warriors to the stage, and all I say to that is, thank God we need it.
They'll give him a kind of blank check, I reckon.
Yeah. Or he could probably fund it himself.
Yeah. But my idea for the staging was to have it... The best way I can describe it is like a train platform.
Yeah.
So there would be the stage, and then at the front and at the back, you would have, like, basically just a cutout of the front of a train.
Well, they could actually, depending on what space they use, they could actually have a train, because you haven't read it yet.
No.
But in working on a song, talk about the time that they actually did
Yeah.
like one performance in the middle of nowhere, Canada, in like 2017, where they had a train.
Yeah.
Hadestown. And then they were like, no, it's too literal, we can have an actual train. But they should just call Rachel Hark and see what she can do.
But my thought being, if you have like... So the idea being, if the train at the front is on stage, you're looking at it as if you are outside the train and you can see inside. So it's like they'd have the windows and you can see them in there. If the train at the back is on stage, then either you can stand behind it, so for the scene where they're fighting on the platform.
Yeah, I feel like they also need like stairs or something for that
Yeah.
scene, though.
But for that one, you can then have the rest of the warriors behind the train, them fighting on the platform, and then she can fall into the one at the front. So you're not, like, moving around too much.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing is if the one at the back is also on stage, you could bring on a set to make it the inside of a train, and that's, like, the back wall. I think, in my opinion, that's the best way to do it, but that's also... I understand even when I'm explaining it, it sounds very, like, this is a high school set. Like, this is, we have cardboard.
No, this will be, like, properly made.
Yeah.
I don't know. I trust Lynn's instinct.
I trust it. I think he has a vision. He wouldn't write a musical without a vision for how he's going to stage it.
Yeah, I want to know what the director is. I would be surprised if it's going to be Toy K. Logan. Because he's done all of his work. But I'd like to see him branch out. Jamie Lloyd! No. Oh. Nick Connor stage door. So, basically... not the Aunt Juliet. I don't know what goes on at the Aunt Juliet stage door.
I don't want to.
I don't care. Nothing good, I imagine. The Romeo and Juliet stage door has always been weird. People do not know how to act. And I see some people on Twitter who are like, oh my god, I went to the Romeo and Juliet stage door, I had a really lovely interaction with everyone. They look at everything and got signed. Completely not. That's what the stage door's for. But running out of Romeo and Juliet during the closing monologue because you want to go take a photo of Kit Connor is crazy.
Insane.
So there's been 2 instances this week that have really brought this to light and reignited the ongoing conversation that we've all been having for
about stage door culture.
About how stage dooring is like the worst thing to ever really happen to the theatre. So see, like, you know, stage dooring, rotting our culture, and especially when there's these big stars that people feel like they have a attachment to, even though they've never met these people before in their lives. I would like everyone to remember that these people are strangers to them, and they aren't your friends.
I'm not your friend.
Me and Nell aren't even friends. Someone handed Kit Connor an engagement ring this week.
Insane. But in the grand scheme of things, horrid.
Not the weirdest
Weird
thing that's happened.
And a little uncomfortable, but not, like, actively malicious.
No, this next one I would call malicious.
It's just chasing after the car.
Yeah. Someone chased after his car and then was like, oh my god, he smiled at me. Girl!
He was fearing for his life.
He was going, help me, Jesus.
Once I was at a show.
Yeah.
It was a, like, gig.
Yeah.
This... Oh my god, I can't really say this without exposing myself, but I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Guy came out of the stage door, and he is not a member of the band we were seeing.
Yeah.
He is a friend of the band.
He's a known entity.
He's known,
yeah,
but he was a friend of the band.
Yeah.
Was. Not anymore. And he, like, waved at the crowd that was there. I think this was the last time I did anything you could call stage dooring.
I haven't stage door since, like, 2022.
I think the last time I stage doored a theatre
was
Dear Evan Hansen.
Gee, that makes sense for you, the last one, though.
I staged all this like gig because I was with someone and we were gonna head back together.
Yeah.
And they wanted to stage door.
Yeah.
This guy came out, not a member of the band we were seeing, a friend of the band at the time. Waved to us, was very nice. I was like, hey guys, and got in a taxi.
That normal.
Normal. This person I was with, and it's kind of the reason I don't talk to them anymore, started sprinting after the taxi.
Jesus.
Like, calling out this guy's name. And I was like, dude, that's weird.
Learn some decorum.
It's one thing, it would be bad enough if this was the band, but at least it would make sense. Like, you are there for the band.
I mean, it would make sense in a, like, you could rationalise crazy way.
Yeah. Like, they are probably expecting it.
Unfortunately.
As a band, they are probably expecting it's going to be something crazy.
This band.
This was just some... and I'm just going to say, at the time, 17-year-old.
Jesus!
Just random guy.
Jesus Christ.
Like, chasing after his taxi, which was obviously going to his house. I was like, my god, you're insane.
We all need to learn how to act in public.
Like, it's just, like, genuinely, they're a lot older than me. They were, like, I say a lot, probably, like, 3 years older than me. But I was 18.
Yeah,
so
that's still, like, a change.
I was like, dude, you can't do that.
No.
Like, you can't chase after someone's car.
No.
Like, not only insane, it's disrespectful.
Also, what do you think's gonna happen?
Like,
after you've chased after the car, after you've made them uncomfortable, do you think they're gonna go, oh, hey, random stranger that I've chased,
let's be best friends.
that you've hunted me down, let's be friends forever.
Yeah.
You know, let me marry you.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think it is very much, people just don't understand boundaries. At all.
Yeah.
And it really shouldn't be a boundary. Don't chase after a stranger's car.
At the end of the day, they are a stranger. You can think you know them, you don't.
You don't.
I think we all need to learn this thing is called shame. So people need to be shamed. Need to feel the emotion of shame more. Also, speaking of Romeo and Juliet, there was, I think, like a couple days before Christmas, they had a couple of understudies on, as is very common. You know, so it's Christmas. People are tired. People get sick.
Yeah.
You know, also people just get tired and sick any time of the week.
I want to say, wasn't one of the times because Rachel Zegler was at like 54 Below?
What, hanging out with Jack Antonoff?
No, I saw a video of her going to like sing something at 54 Below.
She was singing with Jack Antonoff one night.
Might have been that.
Yeah.
But it's just because I saw some tweet being like, if bows are at 10:30...
No, that was her with Jack Antonoff.
Yeah, if bows are at 10:30, how is she here at 10? Like, I think she wasn't on.
Yeah, also, like, people don't always perform every single show or run that they're in.
It's an 8-show week, like, it's rough.
Okay, understudies are great. Love understudies. They keep us functioning. However, it wasn't Romeo and Juliet stats. I'm sure that was happening on some side of the internet that I wasn't privy to. It annoyed me. People being like, why weren't they on? I paid money to see this. Okay, you paid money for a theatre show where there's no guarantee that anyone's ever going to be on, like, life happens. But the issues came from the fact that...
It was two things.
There were two things, and it was the fact that when Rachel wasn't on, they didn't do Man of the House.
Which I can kind of get. I don't think it's a good choice.
No.
I think, why not just, you know, you're on Broadway. Someone in the area can sing.
Or if you knew that this song was going to be included, only audition people that can at least sing that song, because it's not technically a hard song.
Yeah.
Or adapt it.
Yeah.
Make it a monologue.
Like, don't have... Because in that sense, it is always going to make the understudy feel worse.
Yeah, also it's like because they're both playing this role in the same production. One shouldn't be above the other.
Yeah, and it is going to make the people who go and see it pissed off, because they are, like... In most cases, when an understudy is on, you're not missing out on anything.
No!
It's like, yes, you can want to go and see the overstudy.
Yeah.
But you're not actually getting a different performance besides it being a different actor.
You're getting a different performance, but you're not getting a worse performance.
Yeah. In this case, you are actively missing out on something.
I have seen, like, 2 Eurydice understudies in my time of seeing stuff. I love it. I have, like, 3 different interpretations of like, Eurydice to, like, compare and contrast.
You know, I'll hand it to them. The mincemeat stands, they're little
bingo cards
for seeing different iterations of all of the, like, covers. Fun. Really
I
fun
wish
idea.
more people would embrace it.
Yeah, I think that's what you should be trying to do with understudies.
Yeah.
But in all of those cases, nothing about the actual text of the performance is different.
No.
You're getting a different portrayal and a different interpretation.
Yeah.
But It is the same text. This one, you are actively missing out something. Yes, in the nicest way possible, I would ask for my money back.
And you can.
Because
Kit Connor and Rachel Zegler are above the title, so you technically can.
If I went to go and see Romeo and Juliet on Broadway,
Man of the House, the song that they've trotted out as the single and performed on Jimmy Fallon, wasn't in the show.
If it wasn't performed, I would ask for my money back.
Yeah.
You know? In reality, I probably wouldn't.
I wouldn't. That was annoying.
And then the other thing. One of the understudies.
Again, these were complex and nuanced conversations people were having, and I respect everyone for having complex and nuanced conversations.
It was actually very interesting to see unfold.
Yeah.
Getting to see, like, a lot of
discourse.
Thoughts.
But, like, people weren't being insane about it for the first time in their lives, which I really appreciated. Maybe Christmas.
Maybe.
There's a Christmas spirit moving everyone to be normal.
But one of the understudies went on with their script.
Yeah, I actually don't know which one it is because there's so many, like... Because they've, like... Everyone's playing multiple roles, apart from Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. They are months into this run.
Yes, and it seems... This, and then the thing of Man in the House not being in when Rachel's not in, makes it seem like... Like, on one hand, I think, in an ideal world, and also me saying it from my position, but in an ideal world, you should know your lines.
Yeah.
If you're an offstage cover.
I think there is some part of me which is still stuck in doing like high school theatre.
Yes.
It's very much, you have a responsibility to learn your lines.
Well, if you're being paid.
Especially that.
People are paying insane money to go see Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a cheap show.
Yeah. But I also think, especially in the case of Romeo and Juliet, but also in general, a script is a lot more than just the lines. It's stage directions, it's like, who else is there? And I think if, on the assumption that the reason is because the understudies haven't had enough put-in rehearsals, like, where they've actually
been able to go into that
rehearse
space.
This role with everyone else,
because
them just playing
there is a lot of, like, running and jumping and moving around that space from what I can tell.
Yeah. Like, if they have not had at least one day where it's been like, currently I am playing Juliet, even though I'm the understudy for the role.
And that does traditionally happen in musical theatre. Yeah. Like, everywhere does that.
If they haven't had that, then yes, I understand.
If this was, like, week 1 of the run,
I would fully get it.
I'd be like, yeah, it happens all the time, show must go on, I guess. We are not. We are month 3.
I'm trying to think of both sides, because I don't think it's necessarily the understudy's fault at all.
I don't think anyone's, like, there's only one person who's to blame for this happening.
Yeah.
Again. But this was the side of the internet of, no one's really to blame for this, but this is bad that it happened.
I think, in combination with the Man of the House thing...
And they happen, like, a day after each other.
Yeah. It just seems like there isn't enough care put into the understudies.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, it's not as if I think the understudies are like, we're gonna fuck up the show because we're understudies. Like,
yeah, we are getting enough attention on TikTok. Like, no, they are professionals.
It feels...
very talented, probably. I don't know them, but good for them.
It feels very much like they've got 2 big names.
Yeah.
Playing Romeo and Juliet. They've put all of their attention into marketing these 2 big names and making sure that when you go and see Kit Connor and Rachel Zegler, you are seeing Kit Connor and Rachel Zegler. And if you're not seeing Kit Connor and Rachel Zegler, who cares?
Who cares? And it's like Gabby Beans is literally like a Tony nominee.
Yeah. It's like, you were still seeing Romeo and Juliet, but it's not Kit Connor and Rachel Zegler.
It's not Kit Connor from Heartstopper.
And Rachel Zegler from Rachel Zegler.
And Rachel Zegler from the internet. No, she's not from the internet. It's from West Side Story, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Her YouTube channel.
Banger tweets when before people drove her. Shrek the musical. Banger tweets before people drove her off the internet.
Love her.
Love you, Rachel.
Got her new movie, Y2K.
Oh,
banger.
I've not seen that, but I think it's only not been released in the UK.
No. I haven't seen it either, but it's meant to be very good.
I loved her work. I rewatched Romeo and Juliet.
And she's in that Alan Menken animated one.
Yes! No, I rewatched her in not Romeo and Juliet, other one, West Side Story, and it was outstanding.
She's incredible.
She's such a good actress.
Anyways.
It is.
It just feels... I do think...
There's been a mismanagement somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm not privy to those conversations, that
Like, I don't really think it's my place to be like, you should kind of step up and learn your lines.
It's not my place to, like, someone who's not seen the production, has no idea about these people, have no idea what happens behind closed doors, to go, everyone should have been prepared and...
Yeah. You know.
Some of the oldest and most famous pieces of literature of all time. Everyone knows. I guess that's the issue with Shakespeare, is like, there's nowhere to hide. There'll be someone in that audience who knows what you're about to say at every single word.
Oh. But whatever.
Next up, Gypsy.
This is in the same kind of vein.
In the same vein. Gypsy opened. I believe we haven't spoken since it opened, and it got mixed reviews. People like it.
I think people like it because it's Audrey Gypsy.
It's Audrey Gypsy. Also, I've heard, what's it? Jordan Tyson's amazing. That's what I've heard as well. She's the real standout, and she's now my pick for Best Featured Actress out of that production. Because I've heard that they've changed some of the Louise stuff. Like, normally she does, like, this monologue before the strip, which is very reminiscent of the real Louise, who would talk instead of... and then maybe strip. But they've removed that monologue.
Interesting.
Yes. The Matt Koplik on the Broadway Breakdown was talking about it, and I was like, that's so interesting. I feel like I need to read the libretto of Gypsy now. I got about like 2/3 of the way through when I went, I'm bored. Yeah, so Gypsy had to cancel about 7 performances during the most profitable time for Broadway, which kind of sucks for them. But I'm glad that they weren't, like, making people go on when they were sick.
I think some people were like, oh, it's insane that you're doing, like, Audrey Gypsy and you don't have understudies. Genuinely, if...
They
like,
do! I checked!
If, like, 2 principals and 3 understudies are sick, they can't do the show.
Also,
like, that's kind of it.
Gypsy has a shit ton of children in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've looked at the cast rate, because I did. So I looked on the website, and I was like, okay, so, like, how many people have they got in? And it's like... Because I saw someone bitching about that, being like, why aren't there enough understudies? And it's like, there are so many roles in Gypsy, there are only so many understudies that they can have.
It's also, like, with the children, like, if you think, like, Matilda, you have, like, 4 Matildas at a time.
Yeah, 4.
If, like, even one of them is off sick, you probably have to cancel a performance.
Or, like, 2 of them get a bug.
Yeah. If 2 of them are sick, show's done. Because it's, like...
I feel like you have Matilda understudies, like, in the ensemble.
Yeah. But it's the kind of thing of, like, one of them can't work because child labour laws.
Yeah.
They've done, like, 3 shows that week already, can't work anymore. One of them's sick.
And then you have to have, like, I don't know about this.
One of them...
In the UK, you have to have, if there's a child on stage, you have to have a child backstage.
Yeah. One of them maybe can't go on because either they've got something, like, they were scheduled off.
Yeah.
So they're doing something else. Or because... their coming schedule already, they were already hit, like, child labour laws.
Yeah.
They can't go on, otherwise you're going to have to find someone to cover them later. And then the other one is, like, either not there, can't get there in time, doesn't live in the country. Not the country, the city.
There are 2 pretty big children's roles in Gypsy. Baby Louise and Baby June. There are 1 cover each.
Yeah.
For Louise and June. And again, children get sick.
Especially over Christmas.
And it's like, why can't they get someone in there, like, teach them to do the show quickly? So, sorry, George C. Wolfe's supposed to go to, like, some park and be like, children, who wants to be in my Gypsy?
We're gonna give you jobs, children.
It's gonna go down the Children's Unemployment Centre.
Just follow me down this dark alley to the stage door.
I'll lure you here with candy.
It is genuinely the thing of, I don't think people realise how every single theatre production is, like, held up by a toothpick.
No, literally, like, and the second, like, a couple of, like, I mean, we saw this a lot over COVID, like, where people would just get sick and everyone would get sick. And it's like, it's a surprise that more shows aren't cancelled more often. I know. I was thinking about this, I was like, one bout of neurovirus would kill the entire show for, like, 2 weeks.
It's the kind of thing of, it's like, the other issue is, because you're all, like, in such close quarters. Theatres are small, in case you didn't know.
Theatres are small, old buildings with not good installation.
It's like, one of you gets sick, and you're like, oh, I'm not probably sick, like, my throat's, like, a bit...
Also, in a show where you could be making out with people...
Yeah.
And breathing in their face, singing in their faces...
It's like, you get sick, and you're like, okay, it's fine, like, I'm just gonna take a couple days off work, I have an understudy, like, my role has an understudy, it'll be fine. All of a sudden, the person you're sharing a dressing room with is also sick, and then the person that on stage they make out with every night is also sick, and suddenly half the cast is sick. Like,
It is honestly like a modern miracle that more shows don't go down for like entire weeks at a time.
Honestly,
and the fact that Matilda doesn't like take a week off every like season change.
It's insane that Matilda like rarely cancels performances.
Or like The Cursed Child.
The Cursed Child doesn't actually have many children. I don't know if you
The
know...
less I know about The Cursed Child, the happier I
think
am.
part 2 has like no children. Like it's kind of an insane show.
The less I know about The Cursed Child.
The kids playing the kids. For most of it, I think they are like 20-year-olds.
The fact that Les Mis doesn't go down more often. Although I guess because there's so many people that have done Les Mis, they're just like, we can swap you in and out.
It's the thing, I always kind of think, like, whenever I see someone returns to the show, I'm like, wow, this is insane. Why would they ever do this? Once you start, like, being aware that people return to shows every single week, it's like 20 people are returning to Les Mis this week.
Especially, like, West End Understudies on Twitter, they are a great resource for this. I don't know how they keep it all updated.
I'm guessing a lot of it is people who work
or
in
people
the theatres.
like, going to the theatre and sending it in.
Going to the theatre, or it's, like, someone who works front of house.
Yeah.
Like, if I worked front of house at, like, the Lyric, and I'd be like, oh, who's on today? I have to put out the sign. Like, at this performance.
Update the digital board.
I just snap a pic, and I'm like, hey, man.
West End Understudies.
Tonight, this person's going on.
Yeah, but...
I reckon it's just shit like that.
It's crazy. If like, sit down and think about it and your head will hurt.
Do you know what, actually, I think is the most shocking one?
What?
It's shocking to me that Six doesn't cancel more performances.
Six does cancel the odd performance.
But I feel like it should be cancelling, like, one a week.
It's because they're on 9. But again, I think they're at the point now where so many people have done it over the years.
Yeah.
Where they can swap in and out.
But it's like...
It's still crazy.
It's a tiny theatre. You're all on stage together all the time.
Sharing dressing rooms.
Like, if I was sick today, but I didn't feel it, I went on stage and did Six. That entire cast is...
When like, Hannah Lauber broke her arm and was out for, like, a month because she obviously broke her arm and so could not be doing Six the musical in the West End. I was like, how are you guys functioning?
I think the funniest tweet to come out of it, to end this whole talk...
Gypsy.
It's a very interesting talk.
No.
But...
And I think it is worth talking about being aware of. Again, look at, like, who's covering what roles and your head will start to hurt.
Respect to understudies. I love you guys.
That's basically what we've been all about for the past, like, a couple of minutes. Just, like, respect people. George C. Wolfe, that was a joke about you going to respect your work, man.
Respect your work. But I think the funniest tweet from this whole experience...
Oh, was it the one...
It was some tweet about, like... It was genuinely the one that was like, how do you not have, like... If you're doing Audrey Gypsy, how do you not have understudies?
Yeah.
And so I mean, like, the Broadway mind cannot comprehend headers at the other palace.
Again, Hannah Lauber keeping that show up by a tooth. The toothpick was Hannah Lauber.
Headers at the other palace was, half the cast is sick. We've had to call in someone who used to do the show, but not for the role they used to do.
It was like someone's sick. Someone just call Hannah Lauber.
I'll just get her in.
We don't need any offstage understudies for this vocally and physically demanding show. We just need Hannah Lauber.
No one has ever damaged their voice doing headers.
Barrett's on the...
Like, there's no war in Barsingsay. There is no vocal damage that stems from Heathers the musical.
No, not at all. Everyone leaves Heathers a healthy, happy, rounded person and doesn't grow up to become Ryan McCart.
I will say this. I never saw them bringing someone back for JD.
I think they did once have to.
Who?
I don't know, because there's more female roles than male roles in Heathers.
But I also think it's kind of the thing of, because of that.
I think one of, like, the actually sometimes had to go on for...
Veronica,
JD.
3 Heathers.
3 Heathers.
Martha. And then Veronica's
Fleming.
mother also plays Fleming.
Yeah.
So that's like 6.
That's 6.
Boys, JD, Kurt and Ram.
Yeah.
Their dads.
Yeah.
Basically the same. One more.
But you could kind of get away. I don't know. Because I think
who's gonna do... You can't have Kurt and Ram also play Kurt and Ram's dads.
I was thinking about it. I feel like they might have done that at one point. Being around the Heathers on the West End, or, like, at the other palace, during, where the West End understudies had to stop, were told to, allegedly, told to stop tweeting about what was going on at Heathers.
Oh.
Put Heathers into West End understudies. It is so funny. What else was I going to say?
Oh my god, they updated Twitter again. It's awful.
What? How can it be worse?
They've got a grok button.
Oh yeah, the AI. Yeah, I keep hitting it by accident. Oh, I hate it. The other thing I was going to say is...
Oh wow, there's one tweet. The debut of Hannah Lowther.
Yeah.
As Heather Duke. Hannah isn't a cover for the role and only has 4 hours notice to prepare. Hannah is also the first person to perform all of Heather's.
Hannah Lowther is the famed Jasperson of Heather's.
Honestly. Let me try Heather's music. There we go.
Notice how they never tweeted
after, like, 2022. My god. Oh my... Okay. They were tweeting, like, on the same days a lot.
Well, yeah, that's
25th of September. Hold on.
The amount of making out that goes on in that show. I liked this tweet that was like, they really should start leaving box 5 empty for the Phantom, because he clearly never left.
Yeah, honestly.
They were funny.
Oh, I saw this great tweet about Phantom.
What was it?
It was about the line in Why So Silent, when he's like, remember there are worse things than a shattered chandelier. As if he didn't also kill someone in that performance. Like, yeah, you killed someone.
Vanessa Williams is out of The Devil Wears Prada, I think, the week that this comes out as well.
Yeah. It's only for a couple days.
Yeah.
And it's due to family bereavement.
Yeah, so
which is fair.
Thoughts with Vanessa Williams. Last but not least, we were still going through it while we were recording last episode. That's why it was so weird. I had just spent 3 hours in a queue, physical, online, for the Hadestown OBC returns. Now, if you weren't aware, that like seconds after we stopped recording now went, oh my god, that's crazy. And I went, what's happened? You're like, they cancelled the general sale. I was like, yeah, we should have been able to get tickets in the pre-sale.
The thing being, our assumption was basic, at least for me, my assumption was, if we didn't get tickets in the pre-sale, we weren't attempting the general sale.
Really?
That was my thought.
I would have attempted.
Really? Mine was going to be I wasn't coming back here for us
No,
to attempt.
No, you wouldn't have been there. I would have texted you being like...
But my thought was, I'm not going to go through any effort in the general sale.
That's
because
fair.
We've done the effort of pre-sale. We have sat in this queue for hours. If we can't get tickets here, it's going to be worse in general sale.
I was expecting the general sale to be worse.
It probably would have been if they didn't cancel the general sale.
But I was also like, everyone got tickets, didn't they? And then we were speaking to someone on New Year's and like, yeah, I got tickets. And we're like, oh. But people started doing like the thing that I've only ever. I mean, this could be the echo chamber I live in. Like the thing that I've only ever seen done with like big ticket concert, like productions, you know, of like the gatekeeping and moralizing.
Yeah.
Of if it's your first time seeing it in London, you don't deserve tickets. If you've not been a fan for years, you don't deserve tickets. Like we ever said.
Listen, I'll sell them my ticket.
No,
60 quid.
I will sell my tickets at an insane upmark to 2 very specific people.
Yes. I will sell my ticket, but you have to be prepared.
Yeah, there was insane moralising that happened, like, around, like, you do or don't deserve tickets for this.
Listen, we deserve tickets because we sat in the fucking queue and got them.
For 3 hours.
Sorry. We deserve the tickets that we bought.
It's like, at the end of the day, it's Hadestown OPC. It's not the Eras tour.
Like, I get your issue. I get why you want to go see it. It is not that deep.
Also, people on our TikTok page, what's on TikTok? Keep trying to scam people for Hadestown tickets.
It's incredible.
I did have to put up a video being like, do not buy Hadestown OBC tickets off of someone on the internet. They're a bot.
Like, listen. It's so stupid.
It's not worth it.
And
they're filming a pro shop.
If they're offering you to, like, if they're like, I have a screenshot of the tickets, like, right here, I'll show it to you. No, they don't. We can't access them.
You don't get your QR codes until 72 hours before.
Yeah, like, trust.
We know how NIMAX theatres works.
They don't have the tickets, okay?
They don't have the tickets. Also, they didn't raise the prices. So you can see what they're currently charging for Hadestown is what they're going to be what they charged in the sale for us.
We got 30 quid tickets, which is the same, more than we paid the first time.
More than we paid the first time, but we're in slightly better seats.
Which is fair.
Which is, like, the seats that we bought still sell for the same amount every single time. Every single time that Hades Town has ever been performed in London, those are the price of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love a bit of you can't go to this discourse. It really, really gets me going, you know?
Yeah. It's great.
Just crazy. Like, the vibe that this brought out of everyone was just absolutely crazy.
It was bizarre.
It was a bizarre day to be on Twitter, and I had a great time.
It was great. I'm glad we got the tickets.
I'm actually, for the jokes we make, trust me, we have made on jokes.
Trust us when we say that.
There is a list of things we're not allowed to talk about when they're in that theatre.
It continues to grow.
And 90% of it is for me.
There's like one thing I'm not allowed to bring
One
up.
thing now is, well, you're not also allowed to bring those up in the theatre. To provoke me.
Wow.
Well, no, because I can't be trusted.
That's true.
Like, you say one thing and I'll like, lose my mind. And I want to go in as level-headed as I can.
Yeah.
So I can give it, like, a fair shot.
We did, I will say.
What were you say you did?
We were thinking about doing some things.
Oh, yeah?
Before seeing Hades.
Like what?
Well, we said we'd come back for a long weekend.
Yes! Our long weekend plan.
And we may have been looking at Moulin Rouge.
But we want to get drunk and watch Moulin Rouge.
So I was like, oh, we should go on like the Saturday before. And I was like, no, we can't be
hungover. Yeah. So we might go see Moulin Rouge.
We're gonna get actively banned from the Piccadilly Theatre.
I like that theatre though, it's where we saw Curious Incident.
Yeah, nothing Moulin Rouge is there.
Right.
I just get to sit in silence for a bit.
You get to play the game.
I'm playing number match.
I was thinking like I might play number match after I've seen you play. Tick, tick. I'm going to move it closer to the mic for the top now, don't worry.
Do whatever you want with it. I won't be using it.
Tick, Tick, Boom is a musical with music, lyrics, and a book by Jonathan Larson, a script supervision by David Alban. So, again, we have to get deep in the life and times of one Jonathan Larson, because I was explaining this to Now earlier. I was like, as much as everyone else is like, Rent is his autobiographical work, like, Rent is his life. I think Boom just genuinely is his life. Like, the main character's name is John, and it's an aspiring composer.
Yeah. Played by Andrew Garfield in the film.
Yeah. And, yeah. I mean, the names of his friends, of his friend and his girlfriend, have been changed, because they aren't public figures. But that's it. So, Larson spent years working as a waiter at the Moon Dance Diner in Manhattan in order to earn money while he was writing and composing. He did paid gigs here and there, and worked for a long time on a futuristic musical called Superbia. Now, in recent years, thanks to Joe Iconis, thank you Joe Iconis for this, Mel just did a fist bump because she loves Joe Iconis.
I made some bold statements.
You made some very bold
earlier.
We were doing a fun game of let's avoid doing work for as long as possible. That's how we got onto Moulin Rouge tickets.
We actually did work after looking at Moulin Rouge tickets.
No, I think it was... No, we did like a half an hour of work.
And then we looked at it. Yeah, okay. And then I said, I think... No, I can't repeat it.
No, you said that before we started doing work.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because I was like, I should listen to it.
And I went, I should listen to Hamilton. I listened to Hamilton today.
I really considered listening, and I'm
It's
like,
so
no, I need to focus.
It's so good. Superbia's become a bit of an legend. People are like, is Superbia actually genius? And I would say, I don't know, because Superbia doesn't exist. Like, the script of Superbia doesn't exist, if that makes sense. In the same way, Tick Tick Boom was more of a fully fledged musical before Jonathan Larson, spoiler alert. But Superbia, like, there is no official version of Superbia. Superbia was a creative challenge spanning 9 years from 1982 to 1991, ultimately ending up with, quote, a fascinating original musical unproduced called Superbia. One can infer that Superbia would have been his most intellectually challenging show. Superbia has been it's been explored in relation to Tick Tick Boom, with songs like Come to Your Senses being originally written for Superbia, then being placed in Tick Tick Boom because it makes more sense to be in Tick Tick Boom. Larson would win the Roger Grant to fund a reading of Superbia in 1988 at Playwrights Horizon in New York. It would not be an easy process, with some of this frustration making it into the original version of Tick Tick Boom. It's still in there today. It convinced that he could do a better job himself, he teamed up with good friend and supporter Victoria Letwick to present Superbia like it ought to be, as a concert at the Village Gate using a live band and actors who can sing rock, including future Broadway star Roger Barr. Oh my god. You know Roger Rent? I always forget that Roger Barr has just, like, lived one of those lives where it was like,
it's insane.
He's everywhere. Shout out to Roger Barr, former ex-boyfriend of Trisha Paytas. Some of Larson's closest associates, including longtime Matthew O'Grady and Jonathan Bernhardt, found steady jobs in their fields, leaving impoverished Larson to feel that everyone around him was selling out. Sondheim would apparently be a fan of this musical. It's hard to track down real information between, like, between what actually happened between Stephen Sondheim and Jonathan Larson, because they're both dead. And there are varying accounts of, like, Sondheim anointed him as the next coming of him. Whereas other people are like, yeah, Sondheim just likes to support new workers and so encouraged him to keep going. So yeah. In 1989, Superbia was on his last leg. Jonathan found out he was about to turn 30. He was still stuck. His close friend, Matthew O'Grady, had tested positive for HIV. Larson had already lost close friends to the AIDS epidemic and was very aware of his own mortality. He would channel these feelings into Tick Tick Boom. Tick Tick Boom was originally conceived as a rock monologue entitled Boho Days or 3090, with it being totally performed by Larson. It would have its world premiere at Second Stage in September 1991. This would not be successful due to the fact that the current landscape of musical theatre was not welcoming of a rock musical, with Phantom, Les Mis and Cats being in at the time. I'd say Phantom does have influences of rock, but not in the way that Jonathan Larson wants it. Yeah. Like, I read that.
It's a different vibe of rock. It's Andrew Lloyd Webber rock.
It's Andrew Lloyd Webber cool. So it's like 70s rock?
Yeah. Don't talk to me about 70s rock.
The second I said that, I was like, oh god, why did I say that? Don't bring that. Yeah, different from what Jonathan Larson wanted to do. Let's just leave it at that. At the time, Jeffrey Seller, a aspiring producer and booker in a Broadway production office, caught a performance of Boho Days and it made him cry, with him writing a letter to Larson saying he would take on the show and start to work with Larson as producer, with Seller eventually producing Rent. You know, little show named Rent, you might have heard of it. Larson would unfortunately and tragically pass away in 1996 due to a heart condition on the night of the dress rehearsal for Rent. However, Rent would become a sensation, the likes of which Broadway had never seen. It would win a Pulitzer for Drama in the same year. In Larson's work reaching worldwide acclaim and him completing his mission of bringing rock back to Broadway. You could say, Jonathan, hate I want you because you are dead. But it never left. Like, Hair. And then you have Jesus Christ Superstar. Then you have Phantom. Then you have Rem.
What's in the 2000s?
Spring Awakening.
Most of the 2000s, to be fair. A lot of rock influence.
Next to Normal. American Idiot. The Green Day. That's
American Idiot.
What else? Love a rock piece.
Oh my god, what else is like early 2000s? Love No Ties. That's 2010s,
That's the 2010s. Yes, it does have a rock song.
Okay, I've looked up rock musicals.
Okay.
We're gonna judge these together. Heathers.
Sure.
I get what you mean, but it's 80s rock.
Yeah, no, it is 80s rock influenced. I don't...
Like, Dead Girl Walking, I get where you're coming from.
Yes.
It's still not proper rock. Addams Family, no.
What?
They put One Normal Night and Crazier Than You.
It has a drum beat.
Yeah. Again, it's that kind of 80s vibe.
Yeah, but yeah, Carrie, yeah.
Carrie's 70s.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about 70s rock.
Nell's not allowed. Although I can sit here and talk about Stevie Nicks all I want.
3090 from Tick Tick Boom.
That is 90s rock.
And Spring Awakening, Next to Normal.
Yeah.
Hair. Yeah.
That is just 60s rock.
Hedwig.
Again, that's his grunge rock.
Reefer Madness.
Yeah.
They
Passing
put
Straight.
Satisfied on here. Sure.
So, I swear, I might pull out my
I think
Hamilton
this
book.
is lying to me. Jesus Christ Superstar. I think Andy just likes rock music.
Well, because he wanted to be a rock star.
Yeah.
And once you realise that, he suddenly makes sense to you.
Okay, they put I Believe from Book of Mormon on here. I don't think this is real.
I think you're on drugs.
Rock and pop musical theatre. Rocky Horror.
70s, though.
Yeah. Hill Shop.
I should read this more. Again, so...
Oh, I guess... like The Wiz as a concept.
I should deep dive on the Wiz one of these days.
It's very interesting.
I know.
Chess, Pippin, I wouldn't say Pippin. Yeah.
Satisfied, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought was always more inspired by hip hop.
Yeah.
A very specific kind of hip hop and R&B that was reminiscent of the
Yeah.
like you're almost like the Leahs and the Lauryn Hills.
I mean, I do think we can go around in circles doing the
like real.
This musical was inspired by this kind of genre of music from this specific time period. Obviously, yes, it was.
But it
how
all
music works.
eventually becomes an amorphous blob.
Yeah. Like, once you start getting to... Isn't it crazy that, like, contemporary musicals are still, like, early 2010 pop?
Yeah, we need to move away from it.
I know.
Like, music has been doing something interesting. You guys just need some Jack Antonoff. We were talking about this.
I fucking love Jack Antonoff.
Musicals need to give Jack Antonoff a call.
They either need to commit to doing, like, full-scale orchestra traditional
Please.
musical theatre.
Please.
Or they need to, like... I mean, I hate to say it.
So,
Six?
Yeah.
And just being like, fuck it, let's just do a shit ton of different genres.
but Six understands what makes those genres good. And that's what makes Six work. Like, at the end of the day, Six are good pop songs. Because they understand what they're parodying. Don't even know what Gatsby's supposed to be inspired by.
2010s pop.
For some
Where's
reason.
the party and can you take
I mean, it bangs. It's really catchy. But if I think about it too long, I will get angry.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think of a single other, like, proper rock musical.
Well,
Black Friday?
Black Friday is rock.
In some ways.
I hate... this is from the dredge of my brain and I could be wrong and I'm never listening to it, but Spider-Man. It was written by Bono.
Let's listen to Spider-Man.
I'm not listening to Spider-Man.
I'm
I'm not listening to Spider-Man. It was
on.
Okay, Now's being evicted from my home.
Spider-Man.
It was written by Bono and a guy from U2. Is Bono from U2? Is Bono? I don't know Bono like that.
We've got to finish this fucking episode.
Yeah.
It's 20 to 6.
Well, someone made me listen to Spider-Man. Turn off the dog when I went absolutely.
It's a banger. You know the entire Spider-Man album is 51 minutes long.
What the fuck can they do for the rest of it?
Fly around, I guess. Nearly die.
Again, I'm just thinking of Kimmy Schmidt.
I think we've gone insane. We were trying to figure out our plan for how we're going to do this podcast around our dissertations. Oh my god.
We've got a plan though.
For 7 weeks, we're not doing a proper episode. We're either pre-recording or doing some kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It is.
let's please keep talking.
Okay.
I'm going to have nothing to say on TikTok, but I'm just going to be like, it was okay. Let's finish. Let's be done.
That's fine. I'm tired. I want to go listen to some good music after that.
I want to go have dinner.
Okay, so Rent, cultural success, you know it, we know it, we all know it. After his untimely death, his producing partner, Victoria Lennox, brought David Alban, the author of the Pulitzer Prize-winning play Proof, aboard as a script consultant to reconfigure the piece. He resurrected the monologue into a seamless, free-acting musical. One of the characters would be based on Matt O'Grady, and the love interest would be based on a dancer that Larson was dating around the time of writing. Julie Larson would call it lovely, saying that Tick Tick Boo is always going to be tangled with complicated emotions. It beautifully highlights an artist's confidence and absolute despair, always toiling between the two. Tick Tick Boo would finally open off Broadway in 2001. Ben Bradley for the New York Times would say, numbers on clocks and characters figure his lyrics to the point of obsession. There are of course the 5,000, 2,500, 600 minutes hymned in Seasons of Love, the song in which Rent asks, how do you measure a year? Here are two round numbers, 30 and 90, glare ominously in the chamber piece Larson was working on around the time of beginning Rent. The show features Lyric. The actress Lyric has finally been staged, opening last night at Jane Street Theatre under the eloquent name of Tick Tick Boom. It is a self-conscious portrayal of the composer named Jonathan, who longs to write the contemporary answer to Hair, a musical that will, as he puts it, wake up a generation. Yeah, that is his goal. Rather than bringing back Rock to Broadway, because Spider-Man already.
Spider-Man took Rock to Broadway after, first of all. As the newest, biggest Spider-Man turn off the Dark Defender, it's going to be an awful bit for me to do for resume. But I think I decided that new year, new me. I've moved on from defending Phantom and whatever. I'm now defending Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. This is the worst episode we've ever done.
We should have recorded this in person.
There's a reason we're banished to opposite sides of the country for most of the year. You know that kind of tweet where it's like, God made us, because he knew we'd be too powerful.
That's us, but opposite ends of the country.
We should not have been allowed to meet in person. Letting us go to the same high school was a mistake.
It was a mistake. Also, one of our mutual friends didn't introduce us for a solid 6 months.
Yeah, because we'd be too powerful.
We'd be too powerful. Or, no, not because she was a
Anyways, back to,
Jonathan Larson.
Let's talk about Spider-Man stuff.
Why you do that? Given these elements, you might expect Tick Tick Boom to be a parade of cape-hanging sentimentality, yet, directed by Scott Schwartzman, the show is sweet, simple, and hopeful. After the first few minutes, you stop looking for the propellic shadows and wondering about whether or not Larson knew on some level that he was destined to die young and unexpectedly. Compared to Rent, Tick feels immeasurably small and conventional, suggesting that Larson benefited greatly from stretching his imagination beyond his immediate self. This perceived as a sort of sketchbook for Rent, which has many of the same themes developed in a rather idiosyncrasy and bandwidth. Tick is its gentle fascination. It allows the sure-voiced young singers and the four-member band to remind us that infectiously tuneful composer Larson can be. Come to Your Senses, by the way, was written for another Larson show, Superbia. It is all cylinders musical theatre change, seldom evident that the rest of the evening. Tick, after all, is largely made up of self-reflective drillings. It was when Larson looked out of himself that he was able to give up those sketches of a full-bodied life. Despite his worries, and to the great fortune of theatre-goers, he did so spectacularly with Rent. Variety would say, the show's nasal-gaming subject is a sign that, at the time it was written, Larson hadn't quite achieved the perspective of a fully mature artist. The show's central themes are the same ones, given more theatricality justifying life in Rent, but the execution exactly illustrates how rich those gifts were about to reach fruition. As in Rent, the shows are melodic and instantly appealing, blending pop-rock orchestrations with classical musical theatre structures. You can hear the strong influence of Stephen Sondheim, his idol, who is shearingly used throughout the show, but it also suggests Billy Joel with an angry edge. Of course, you know about the bittersweet sequel to the story. Whilst Tick Tick Boom avoids any sentimental foreshadowing, many may be choking back a tear or two at the show's conclusion when Michael and Susan bring out a 30th birthday cake and help Jonathan blow out the candles.
It's going to seem insane because it's going to be about half an hour long, and the reality is it took about 10 hours to record.
We kept getting distracted.
And keep that in.
We kept getting distracted.
Can you keep in...
Nell's new favourite musical is Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. I was unfortunately treated to some of the excerpts of it. Bono and the Edge, War Crimes.
It sounds actively bad. I kind of thought it was a joke, but it's actively bad.
Bono and the Edge, War Crimes. It would be nominated for Outstanding Musical at the Lucille Lortel Awards. Outstanding Musical, Outstanding Actor in a Musical, Outstanding Featured Actor in a Musical, Outstanding Director, Outstanding Music, Book and Lyrics. It would win Best Performance for Raul Esparza and Best Off-Broadway Musical at the Actor Critics Awards. The cast album would come out, oh my god, I can't believe that this was a real thing that Playbill published. So the cast album will come out on September 11th, 2001. Oh! And should I tell you what Playbill had to say about it?
Oh!
Again, this isn't my words, it's playbill.com. There will be a link available so you can all check this out for yourself. Considering the terrorist attack held in New York, It's still up on the website today. Do you want to hear what it is? Yes. Considering the terrorist attack held in New York and Washington on September 11th, there's little title's irony is unfortunate. But today, the cast album of Tick Tick Boom, a Broadway production of Jonathan Larson's autobiographical Tick Tick Boom, becomes available on store shelves.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm sure people in New York will be flocking. Flying off the shelves.
They would just be so into Tick Tick Boom. It would then go on tour, play the West End, starring Neil Patrick Harris. Then in 2014, it would play Encore's Off Centre, which is their off-Broadway space. At Encore's Off Centre, it would star Lin-Manuel Miranda as John, A.O. as Susan.
Oh, I know her. Sorry, I'm crying. There's something in my eye.
I thought you were just crying at absurdity. Crying at the meaning this
thought about how much I love Spider-Man Tale of the Dark. Thought about all those lives lost.
Why? No one died! I don't think anyone died! And Leslie Odom Jr. as Michael. It would be a full circle moment, since on Lynn's 17th birthday they would go and see Rent on Broadway, with this rocking his perception of musical theatre, with it giving him permission to write about his community for the first time, with him writing In the Heights as a result. There's many reasons why Lynn wrote In the Heights. Rent is one of the inspirations. He would go and see Tick Tick Boom at the age of 21, with him saying about it, "It grabbed me and refused to let me go. It was a portrait of the artist as a young man." They would do readings and workshops. It would be readings and workshops and going nowhere jobs with only flexible hours, relationships endings because writing dreams come first and must always come first. Watching talented friends adjust their dreams and find happiness in other careers and more stability. Every young artist deals with these realities, and Jonathan gave them specificity and vitality and truth. He kept going, and in so he galvanized a generation of songwriters to follow his lead, including myself. With Lindsay, he wrote like an open letter to Jonathan Larson. It was actually really good writing. A hot take, Lynn's a good writer. Saying, "Jonathan, if you can hear me, you've fulfilled every promise and then some. We continue to perform your work, and when we do, someone's life is changed. Someone has permission to tell their story because of yours. Someone will struggle to do his best with the time they have. Someone will try to find the right words too. Thank you, thank you, thank you." It would be at this run that producer Julie would come and see the production, with O saying, "No one understands the themes of the story better than Lynn. He has lived it." Because of this, she would basically commission him to do a movie on it. They would explore the late Larsons, demo tapes and notebooks and other archival materials at the Library of Congress.
Jesus.
I forget that like musical theatre makes itself into the Library of Congress. The Dear Evan had the Connor cast is in the Library of Congress.
Incredible.
Like, the works of Jonathan Larson make sense to me in the Library of Congress.
Patrick and Paul, not so much.
The fucking Connor cast?
The first one?
Just a random one for a random performance that was on that day when they needed one.
Perfect.
Yeah. With them integrating some of the songs that were originally cut into the film's set list, being Boho Days, Play Game, and Swimming, whilst others were left out, being Green Green Dress, See Her Smile, and Sugar Later Sugar. The latter, so Green Green Dress, was just cut down to a jingle. Lynn would describe it as one of the only films he would ever want to direct. They would have Stephen Levinson from Dear Evan Hansen Disgrace to write the script. It would star Andrew Garfield, Alexandra Shipp, Robin De Jesus, Vanessa Hudgens, Joshua Henry, Judith Light, and Bradley Whitford. So there is just a list I have here of cameos. So these are just cameos that were in the writing workshops. So Lynn had a lot of fun with getting people in to come to this. James Nicola, Roger Bart, and Luis Miranda Jr. were just like random cameos at one point. Then this was the working workshops. Mark Shaman, Grace McLean, Eli Bolin, Chad Begelling, Matthew Scalar, Alex Lackamore, Georgia Stilt, Ginny Tesori, Stephen Schwartz, Jason Robert Brown, Shayna Tubb, Tom Kitt, Amanda Green, Jamie Lorenzo, Dave Malloy, Helen Park, Stephen Trask, Joe Iconis, Stephen Levinson, Kiara Allegra Hughes, Matthew McCollum, Elsa Davis, Nick Blair, and that was just the Workers' White Shop. And then at the diner, when they do Sunday, it is full of cameos. Howard McGillen, Chuck Cooper, Lin-Manuel Miranda casts himself as a fry cook. Joel Grey, Andre DeShields, Brian Stokes-Mitchell, Philippa Sue, Renee Lee Salisbury, Felicia Rashad, Beth Malone, Bibi Newirth, Chita Rivera, Bernadette Peters, Pascal, Daphne Rubin Vega, Wilson Jermaine Herrera. Stephen Sondheim would have a cameo right at the end, so they would have someone play Sondheim. And his voicemail was actually him at the end, and it was kind of interesting timing because Stephen Sondheim died like a week after the movie came out. As this was like the last thing he ever did, which I think is really lovely.
Yeah, it's a very sweet like voicemail.
It is. Apparently he rewrote it because the first one was too sweet for him. He was like, I've never been that nice.
Like, no, I'm kind of a dick sometimes.
Well, no, and Liv was like, I'm not going to turn down a Sondheim
like, I'm not going to say no to Sondheim.
Like, I know all the teenagers think I'm the best thing ever, but I can't be mean to Sondheim.
I'm not going to be like, actually, Sondheim...
My writing's better.
Mine's better.
Like, Sondheim...
Can you imagine?
He's like, I wrote Hamilton.
Actually, Sondheim, I don't know if you know this about me, but...
I wrote
Hamilton.
That's one thing I've always really appreciated about Lin, is that he is, like, such... Especially
he's a theatre kid.
He's such a fish kid, like, that list of people that he assembled to do this.
It's not like his friends, it's his idols.
It's like, who can I just get? And it's like, and a lot of these people, he said, would have been around when Jonathan Larson was alive. And so it was always, the idea was to fill the diners specifically with the brunch of Jonathan's dreams, which I really enjoy. And then, like, having all of the composers there, especially the younger ones, they would have almost been inspired. I mean, we spoke about this earlier. What's his face? Joe Iconis thinks he's the next Jonathan Larson.
Yeah.
Love you, Joe Iconis. So, like, having them all there, it was nice. So the film would be released in cinemas because they like it to get awards buzz, and then they send it over to Netflix far too quickly, and I think it is ruining us as a society.
Yes.
The Guardian would say the film is about an irony that was to inflict Larson in ways he couldn't have conceived. The quarrel of the quarter-life crisis. At first it glimmers the approaching mortality and the realization that options away are closing down, and something that particularly afflicts those approaching their 30s in the creative arts who don't seem to be making it. When you cut your losses and bail out of the straight, a boring job, say, in advertising. The world is like a ticking time bomb, and soon your career will blow up, and not in a good way. Garfield is good at portraying the nerdy, borderline desperate world of the theatrical writer. Always charming, always on, always looking for creative inspiration, always on the verge of exhaustion, and trying to absorb the new possibility of disillusion. It is rather Sondheimian theme. Never heard that word before, but I love it.
Which one?
Sondheimian.
Yeah, not a real word for sure.
Not a real word, but I'm going to use it like a real word. What did we say earlier? We were like...
Sondheim-esque.
This is like Kafka-esque. It was like Weber-esque or something really dumb like that.
I feel like it was Antonoff-esque.
Yes!
I don't remember what the context of it
We were just talking about Jack Antonoff.
It might have been Desner-esque.
No, it was Antonoff-esque, because we were like, sometimes Jack Antonoff is just in your ear.
Yeah.
We were doing our pitch for him as Orpheus.
Yeah! He doesn't sing or play guitar, but he does produce.
Can play guitar though.
But not in this.
Okay.
He's a producer.
He's bad for playing the guitar.
And every night it's just a different... I've been calling them clients, I know that's not like... Technically it's collaborator, isn't it?
Yeah, technically they're the one hiring him.
Yeah. Well, they're still his clients. But the people he works with, he produces for.
Yeah, when he puts a gun to Lana's head and goes to work.
But each night, a different one of them, we just get a recording of them singing Epic 3.
Sabrina Carpenter's
Sabrina
Epic
Carpenter. Taylor Swift.
Lord.
Jack Antonoff himself sometimes.
Yeah. The different members of Bleachers, I don't know if they
Yeah.
sing. Lena Dunham, for shits and jigs.
And then he just sits on stage with, like...
his headphones on.
His headphones on, and he just produces it. You hear that, like, classic Jack Antonoff beat?
He's allowed to go crazy on a synth. He's allowed to just, like, be a monkey and look at guitar. But this is not a movie in which gives the hero a happy ending. There is no opening night for Larson. Just a belief that the unending song will someday be worth it. Vulture would say, talking about Lin and screenwriter Stephen Levinson's approach to adapting Tick, Tick, Boom feels like flipping open a thrift store jacket that wasn't designed to be reversible. But it works anyway. We've revealed the colours inside. The blues, the greys of John's apartments, and the greens and the reds of the swimming pool that filled skeptics about bohemian life. We were asked only to imagine in the theatre. Miranda re-teamed many of his collaborators from In the Heights, including that of movie cinematographer Alice Brooks and editor Myron Keyston. Their critique seems inherent of the reviving MGM-style movie musical grandeur, but finding clever ways to push the movie musicals forward, whose ambitions to the extent are sequences in like No More, in which Larson imagines life in a luxury apartment complex. The lobby fills up with fantastical ensemble of dancing rich people, even as the movie cuts back and forth to the realities of his current rundown and very cold apartment. At every turn, Miranda and Levinson provide bits of cultural context. They've cut a few of the songs, the stage version logistically daunting, green dream dress with 20 buttons and a strap only described over a radio head. They've also dug up a Lonely Island-ish hip that Levinson wrote for a workshop called Play Game, underlying what made his own work and a send-up of the early 90s Broadway trends like mega musicals. There is an added emphasis on the AIDS crisis too, which afflicted many of Larson's friends. It is both crucial to Larson's story and something that the movie treats almost apologetically. That he, a straight, white, cis guy, did not have any contact with HIV, would go on to write one of the most well-known works of art about New York mid-epidemic. The film gestures towards that complex legacy are understandable, but feel incomplete. You can't zoom in all the way and address it, says activist Sarah Shulman's criticisms of the commodification of queer culture in Rent, because you must remain within just Larson's own land and creative process. Now that I'd turned to the movie in a sociological treatise. What the fuck is that?
Do you know what I mean? I could get it up on my phone, but treatise
way. Anyway, because it really is a fascinating portrayal of one person's specific creative process. Other cameos have the culminative effect of making a movie that is more theatrical, as if each actor is coming to pay tribute to Larson themselves. But Miranda's approach to Larson's legacy is the most affecting to me. In the scene where Larson runs into Stephen Sondheim at a workshop, Sondheim tells Larson that his work is pretty good, despite his doubters. Reference hangs over the movie, held up as an example of the previous generation supporting next. Miranda fills the workshop with his own contemporaries, musical theatre composers including Shana Tarp, Jason Brown, and Tom Kitt. It gives it a sense of musical theatre futures over the past. As you can see, Larson of the film is surrounded by the ghosts of the things that he would inspire but not live to see. I really loved that review. I think it handles Jonathan Larson and his legacy in the best way. It's synopsis time. Yeah. You still have to do synopsis. It's so short.
On the brink of turning 30, a promising theatre composer navigates love, friendship, and the pressure to create something great before time runs out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is one of those things where it's like... Obviously, Tick Tick Boom is autobiographical.
Yes.
It's about Jonathan Larson.
Yes.
But the whole, like, time running out, like, before it's too late, is so shockingly autobiographical.
Yeah.
That he can't have, like, known.
No.
That, like, fuck.
I'm gonna die young.
Yeah.
I think where the fear of dying young comes from is that everyone around him was dying young.
Yeah. I also think it's not even necessarily that, but, like, you see a lot, like, these kind of child prodigies. Yes.
I'm too busy thinking about the Grace musical, bro.
I just can't say the word. I've never been able to. Like, I cannot say it.
I mean, me and specifically.
Yeah.
And a lot of words, actually.
Specifically, you say a lot. Exactly. I will repeat mine.
You've already heard it.
But you've heard it. I can't say it. But you see those a lot. And I think it is very, like, it's, a lot of people kind of think, like, oh, if I haven't made it by 30, I'm fucked. Also, like, that's how I think a lot. If I haven't done something with my life by the time I'm 30, I'm fucked.
The thing that Jonathan Larson keeps referencing in the movie is, I have to be like Sondheim.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be the next big thing in musical theatre, I have to be like Sondheim. And Sondheim had, and he's like, and someone's like, Jonathan, you're like young, you're like 30. He's like, no. Sondheim had Gypsy and West Side Story all on Broadway and was writing this by the time he was my age, so why haven't I?
Like, I think this is going to be hard to put into words.
I find Jonathan Larson so hard to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about this the other day, and I literally, like, I really, really do struggle.
Yeah. I think the thing, specifically with Tick, Tick, Boom,
Yeah.
is there are kind of two plots running at the same time, which is one, the actual fucking plot of the show.
Yeah.
And two, the plot
of his life.
Of, you know, who Jonathan Larson is and what happens to him. And the plot of the show is very self-soothing in a way. It's being like, actually, it's okay.
It's all gonna be
like,
fine.
Every single message in the show is, you don't need to have everything sorted out by 30. You do still have time. Yeah. And, like, to have that coming from someone who you know...
Dies young.
Dies
6 years after this takes place. But also doesn't make it for another 6 years.
Yeah. Does not get... It is not okay for. No. He does not have time.
But at the end of the day, he still makes something that is worth... that changes the world.
Because it's, on the one hand, you're being told it's okay if you're not succeeding right now. You have time no matter how old you are, how old you feel you are.
Yeah.
You still have more time.
Even if there's like a literal crisis happening around you and you're in crisis yourself, and your best friend's dying of AIDS.
Yeah, it's the one thing to like, that is happening, and you're being told that that's okay. But you're being told that by someone who did not have more time, who did die. But then you're also being told it by someone who did make it in that short time.
Yeah. Who made it, who died and then made it the day after.
Incredible.
Like, the irony...
In what sense? What are you trying to say?
The irony of the Jonathan Larson story.
Kind of, dramatic irony.
The dramatic irony of the Jonathan Larson story of, like, never making it, working a dead-end job, working the Moonshine Diner until he literally, like, the week before he died.
Yeah.
And then, like, the day after he dies, he gets everything he's ever wanted.
Yeah. It sounds scripted.
It is scripted, and I think that's what keeps people revisiting it and being like, and I'm so glad we don't have to sit through the Jonathan Larson biopic in, like, 20 years. Yeah. Because it's already been made in his own fucking words.
To have that story of him, like, making it immediately after he died.
Thank you. Get it. Ah! My dog is attacking now. Want me to move him? Get it. He actually just wants to be your friend.
I know. And now I've beef with him, so...
Why do you beef with Scout?
He's stealing you away from me.
Dog!
Yeah.
He can't talk. He can't... Well, yeah, because he can't play me Spider-Man to the dog
Exactly.
against my will.
Oh my god, he's so close to the man.
Yeah, if you can hear something, it's my dog. Got anything to say on Jonathan Larson, Scout? No.
Yeah. Come back to me, what?
He's probably going to leave the room.
But yeah, like, back to the scriptedness of Jonathan Larson. He has, like, he has his story is very scripted.
We were finally getting somewhere, and then the chaos of my house kicked up.
We're finally back on track. Oh, sorry. But you have, like, a life that seems very scripted in that. He, like, makes it the day after he dies.
Yeah.
And then somehow you also have him having previously written a story
about his life.
About saying, you're not going to die young, don't worry, you have time. Mm. That's insane.
Like, all of Jonathan Larson's work has been eulogising himself.
Yeah. It's crazy.
He's such... I always think the real tragedy of Jonathan Larson is that we never got to see what he could do after Rent.
Yeah. Or that we never got to see what Rent could be. Because I think we said this in the Rent episode. But obviously Rent is, like, an incredible show.
The overwhelming tragedy of Jonathan's life and Rent really clouded my, like, judgment that week. You know, you can't spend hours reading reports about, like, how great Jonathan Larson was and how Rent was his baby, and then he dies the day before. He gets off the plane and not be like, I feel this sense of protection over Jonathan Larson.
Like, there is this kind of idea of, like, don't speak ill of the dead. Like, you can't be like...
I love Tick, Tick, Boom. One of the things I love the most about Tick, Tick, Boom is completed show.
I think we've said this multiple times. It's like, I would regard Tick, Tick, Boom as better than Rent.
In my like, what I connect with, and I think one of the good things about Tick, Tick, Boom is it's got such focus. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like that focus is lost in Rent, and that focus is also what's normally found in the preview process.
Yeah. It does seem like
nuance.
Yeah, Rent is a little directionless.
Yeah.
It's kind of making this grand statement about life.
How do you spend a year?
Yeah, but beyond
No today.
Yeah, but beyond that, it's not. A lot is happening and not a lot is being said.
Yes.
Whereas I feel like it would be, and again, this is a thing because it's Jonathan Larson. I'm not going to sit here and be like, here's what I would do. Because I couldn't say.
No.
But I think it would have been very easy for Jonathan Larson to create a direction with Rent seeing it performed and getting reviews.
Yeah, he never saw, like, again, that's part of the tragedy of it. He never saw his work fully performed. He saw a jazz rehearsal.
Yeah.
And a lot changes from a jazz rehearsal of Broadway to Broadway.
Yeah.
And it didn't in this case. And I think Rent.
I think Jonathan Larson is, like,
very smart.
Yes.
I mean, Therapy and Tick Tick Boom. You got mad that I got mad, and like, incredibly smart.
There's no song in Tick Tick Boom that I think, like, misses.
Yeah.
I love 3090.
Also, Louder Than Words always makes me cry, because, not cry, it always gives me chills. Because right at the end, where it goes louder, and then it goes the Happy Birthday tune, and then that stops, and it almost rips like a guitar. And they said they had a 61-piece orchestra for this.
Christ.
And like, yes, it's not classical music, but we should always have as many instruments as we humanly can, because that final note of Tick Tick Boom, because you have like, you go from having like, oh, how do you wake up a generation? I think in Tick Tick Boom, the reason why I like it more is he's asking the questions he almost tries to answer in Rent.
Yeah.
And you can't really answer these questions, like, how do you wake up a generation?
Yeah.
How do you make people understand what's happening? Like, you can't really, what is a life worth lived?
I think this is going to be really poetic.
Yes.
In a weird way. Get clicking.
Guys, we're bringing back clicking.
2025, we're bringing back clicking.
Yeah.
This has been my, like, mantra for about
It's been
6
her
months. We're bringing back clicking. Okay. And bear with me on this because it's going to sound weird.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm going to try and explain it. To me, a lot of Jonathan Larson as a concept
Yes.
and his works
Yes.
are like, and again, bear with me, a tattoo, okay? Very poetic. We've got symbolism already.
Yeah.
We've got, what is this, a simile, a metaphor? I don't remember.
Sure. Pay attention.
I'm high on life.
You're high
I
on
don't
life,
remember.
Yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately.
And, like, the 2 coffees I had.
Yeah, that's really what she's high on.
I had a large coffee from Starbucks. I had a coffee before I left for Starbucks.
Yeah.
So,
I've only had one small coffee, that's why I'm being normal.
not me. And I wrote, like, 200 words in my essay. But in that, a lot of times, at least for me, when I'm thinking of getting a tattoo, and this is for us specifically who don't have any other tattoos.
I don't have any tattoos at the moment.
My first tattoo, I want to be very meaningful. I'm not in this.
Hello, Esme from the future here, the future being 24 hours after we finished recording. The audio cut out. I have nothing past us talking about tattoos and meaning and Nell's metaphor, which I unfortunately cannot remember, because blame Riverside, which I'm actually currently recording on. So I hope this works. But there was a point this morning, up until about 2 p.m. today, where I was like, there is no episode. That's it, guys. There is no episode. Like, we're screwed. And then I sent off some angry emails. I chatted to some robots. And we're here. The plan was going to be, like, just push Tick Tick Boom, re-recorder, and then push everything back by a week, which would have been a nightmare for me, because I like to know what we're doing at all times so I could get ahead. But alas, that did not happen, and so you guys have just listened to the episode, and we did go on about Tick Tick Boom a bit more, and so I'm going to see if I can remember any of the things I said and recite them to you, because I feel like we were finally having a interesting and nuanced conversation that wasn't about Spider-Man Turn of the Dark, although it is fascinating. I have not stopped thinking about how bad it is since Nell forced me to listen to it. Like I think it's punching a dead horse to make a Spider-Man Turn of the Dark joke, but like again, I think it's Tina Fey, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt joke. So, you know, like I'm completely unaware of it in a lot of ways, which is weird because I feel like people will expect me to know so much more about it. I'm like, I have no fucking clue. But anyway, this is Spider-Man Turn of the Dark Hour, which apparently now we're doing, but I'm gonna protest. Tick, Boom is, in a lot of ways, a lot more of a well thought out statement, and a lot of ways, a lot more of a well thought out moment compared to Rent, and that is by virtue of it going through the workshop process. And I know the final version that we saw is not the version that Jonathan Larson performed in his life. However, there has been someone who's come in and been allowed to have free reign and carte blanche to do whatever the fuck they want to it. And because of that, we have a very cohesive and amazing musical. I love Tick, Tick, Boom. I think it's also, I think I was talking about it briefly, like, it asks questions instead of providing answers. And I think that is one of the greatest things that a piece of art can do. Because I think Rent tries to answer those questions a bit too much for me, to the point where it feels like it can be preachy. And also, like, I have a weird relationship with Rent because I only know it from the perspective of someone who wasn't around in the 90s, who wasn't around during the AIDS crisis in the 90s, who wasn't in New York City in the 90s, which are all things that are so integral to the understanding of Rent. So, from an outsider's perspective, I vibe with Tick, Tick, Boom more. Another thing that was cut about Tick, Tick, Boom was how smart that score is, because I've got to stop with the right comparisons, but I'm about to make a right comparison. Rent feels very detached from musical theatre. Canon, and Tick, Tick, Boom is a homage to that, if that makes sense. Like, it is. I have to edit this in a moment. I should stop doing that. Sunday is basically an interpolation of Sunday in the Park with George. There are so many Sunday in the Park with George references in this. I saw somewhere that the Chromaloom was referenced in it in Sunday in the Park with George. Not in Sunday. The Chromaloom 8 from Sunday in the Park with George in the second act, normally where I dip out and I'm like, can we just get to children and art? And can we also just get to, what's the other song? Not We Do Not Belong Together, but the one where she goes, and we'll always belong together, because I think that is a banger fucking tune. Sorry, just listening to New Argentina from Evita. Who's surprised? But, like, in Y as well, which is apparently the reference to the Chromaloom 7, and then it's lesson 8. Again, I've read this online. Sunday is Move On. Move On is the other one that I love. I think it's great. I think it's one of Sondheim's best, if you ask me. Also, I'm getting really into Losing My Mind from Follies, because through the Emma Mary social media, I discovered the Liza Minnelli version, and I think it's one of the most ridiculous things to ever exist. So I've been listening, I've been jamming, I've been vibing in a way that you could not understand. I think Jonathan Larson is a kind of musical theatre in the same way that Lin-Manuel Miranda is a kind of musical theatre, where they know the genre and they're such students of the genre. And that's why it's so nice that Lin was the one to make this movie. Because, I mean, for all of, he is the second coming of Jonathan Larson, I truly believe he is the second coming of Jonathan Larson. In the same way that there's a very clear lineage between Richard Rodgers to Stephen Sondheim, and yes, it does split off a bit here when you get into the Ghetto and the Jason Robert Brown. If you didn't know, then Adam Ghetto is Mary Rodgers' grandson or something like that. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I would have to look at something before saying this, but I'm 90% sure this is true. Adam Ghetto is Richard Rodgers' grandson or something like that. And then Jason Robert Brown was taught by him. So there's a lineage there, Sondheim. But Sondheim was such an amazing artist for so many reasons, but one of them was that he really nurtured the next generation of musical theatre talent, or American musical theatre talent, and one of them was Jonathan Larson. I mean, it's such an important part of his legacy, and that's another thing that I really love about Tick Tick Boom, is that, especially the movie, and I don't know everyone what it's because it came out literally like 2 or 3 weeks after he died, maybe even less than that, but having Jonathan Larson, having this movie Tick Tick Boom, which pays homage, which is basically the Jonathan Larson biopic told through his own words, which, if we're going to do biopics, like, make sure the person wants to have a biopic done. Like, I don't know. Biopics have been annoying me. Also, Americans don't know who Robbie Williams is, which is batshit. This is why I have now. This is, like, why I have now, because I just end up on a random rant and forgetting where I am. And believe it or not, she does kind of keep me on track. She's also seen Wicked right now. I have some texts. I don't know if she's seen it. No. She's just talking about Ethan Slater. Oh yeah, pay homage. And so with this, you can't tell the story of Jonathan Larson without telling the story of Stephen Sondheim. And so to have this movie, which talks about massive part of the legacy of Sondheim, of nurturing new talent during the time around which he died, was so special, and I remember that being one of the things that touched me most about this film. Also, this film came out during the pandemic, and I was very down. I was very fatalistic about theatre. I was like, theatre's never coming back. Like literally, like I'm never gonna see another show again in my whole entire life. So having this story, which is a theatre story, and it felt like a theatre story, you know, they were in a real life. I think they were actually at Second Stage, or not Second Stage, New York Theatre Workshop, because they were able to go there because COVID meant that they had free reign over this theatre, you know, and like that diner scene is, and all of like getting to like watch it and be like, oh my god, that's that person, that's that person, that's that person, that's that person, like it's kind of like Wicked, where like Wicked made me feel like I was in Oz again. Tick Tick Boom made me believe in the theatre again, like especially the movie, and it was a joy to fucking watch. And what a way to talk about these two legends, done by a man who loves them and has also lived their life. Like, Lynn is such a student of music and culture, more specifically. Like, I believe every single great songwriter is. I don't think that there's an echelon of songwriters. And I'm talking about like pop music, and I'm talking about all kinds of music here. There's an echelon of songwriter where, and I'm including Jonathan Larson in this. And I don't know about sometimes cultural references, because I don't think he ever really spoke with them. But he probably had a lot. I need to read his book. Is it on Audible? Jonathan Larson. Oh yeah, echelon of songwriting. Yeah, you have to be very aware of what came before you and where you are in it. And I think that was the vibe that Jonathan Larson was playing off of. Because as much as we were joking about, like, the idea of bringing rock back to Broadway was kind of stupid, was kind of like, not stupid, I don't want to call it stupid, because obviously, like, more rock should always be on Broadway, if you ask me. Like, some of my favourite musicals are rock musicals, but in a lot of ways, rock has never left Broadway since Hair. So him always being like, I want to write another Hair, rather than what the British were doing. Because what's really interesting to remember is during the time that Jonathan Larson was writing, it was the British invasion. The British invasion, I say, kind of dies around Miss Saigon in 1991, and definitely is dead by the time we get to Sunset, 1992. Tick Tick Boom is written in 1991. Like, we've just had Phantom versus Into the Woods at the Tony Awards, so him always catching that vibe and being like, we need American rock and we need real stories on Broadway and in musical theatre. It's true, because I imagine, I mean, again, wasn't alive in the 90s, but not having stories that the young people can relate to is what was driving them away from Broadway. And you could argue that's what's happening today. You know? I don't know. I find Hadestown far too relatable. But I've done enough of the yapping about Hadestown. So I'm going to avoid that. But yeah, I just... how much more like a love letter could I do to this goddamn musical? But it is so good. It is so well thought out. Lynn is a genius. Hot take. Jonathan Larson is a genius, and I think I mentioned this briefly in the episode we actually recorded yesterday. But the true tragedy of Jonathan Larson's story to me, and it is a very tragic story from start to finish, is the fact that we never got to see what he could become. We never got to see what Frank could really become under his vision, for better or worse, and we could never see what he could have done post-Rent. You know? With all of the time, and all of the money, and all of the resources, what would he have done? And I think that is the greatest loss to the musical theatre world in regards to the losing of Jonathan Larson. And I think Tick Tick Boom does that very nicely. And it is done with the utmost care and utmost respect to everyone who lived in his life. And it keeps his memory alive, away from Rent. And it's so good. I love it. I would die to see a production of it. I think I'd really love a production of it. And again, Mini Chocolate Factory, if you want to bring it back, bring it back. You know, we haven't had not Rent. We have a weird relationship with Rent in the UK. We haven't had Tick Tick Boom in 10 years. I know it's being done in Wales, and I can semi-get to Wales, like, pretty easily. So, Stephen Sondheim. Interesting. Okay, I found some books about Stephen Sondheim. So, ooh, James Lapine book. Okay. Oh wait, I can't buy that with my credits. Stephen Sondheim in his own words. Is this an actual thing? Yes, it is. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to that. Stephen Sondheim in the Ooh, fascinating. Sorry. Found a ton of books about audiobooks about Sondheim I can listen to. Anyway, if you need me, I will be listening to you books about Sondheim. I think I have a tiny bit more of notes to also do. They did it at the Kennedy Center this year with directed by Neil Patrick Harris returning. He did it in London at the Mini Chocolate Factory, which is the theatre I need to go to. Also, isn't Olivier's eligible? Which I didn't know because I started to think about the Oliviers. Because I was like, I know Merrily started that production, Merrily, and like, I need to talk, like, I needed to know Jonathan Larson's thoughts on Merrily. Like, I bet you he was a Merrily stan, like 80s Merrily stan. Also, like, great reason to keep a notebook, if that makes sense. Like, these days we don't keep enough notebooks because someone, like, were to go, no one would have any notes written down. No one. I mean, if I was to die, no one would be able to read my notes, but, you know. I have so much respect for people who podcast on their own often because this is really hard. Like, it is hard as shit right now. You know, like, shout out to Broadway Breakdown, Matt Koplik, shout out to the Lizard Review of Madeline. Love. If you want good music recommendations, there's like normal music. Not normal music. Musical theatre is normal music. It's normal, I swear. But just like general music recommendations, she does like literally everything. The Lizard Review, it's really good. It's how we stay informed. It's how I know what's about to be the next big thing. Because Madeline tells me, and I'm like, okay, I trust your recommendation, girly. It's how I got to Brat. I think my love of Brat really surprised everyone. They were like, you're into Brat? And I was like, yeah, because I had someone like release day, Madeline, explain it to me over a podcast. I was like, yeah, I'll listen to this. I know what she's on about now. Chocolate Factory, Neil Patrick Harris. Okay, we're back on track. Yeah, he directed it with Brandon Uranowitz. I can normally say his name, but it's been a long day. Again, I've been very stressed about this episode. And Brandon Uranowitz and what do we call it? Danae Benton as Susan, and Gray Henson as, oh my god, what's his name? The friend. Michael is his name. And it played very well. Oh, last thought about Tick Tick Boom is it does because it's also a weird show, Tick Tick Boom. It's a 3-person show, and obviously it is hard to do a 3-person movie. Challenges is a great 3-person movie. I know it's not technically a 3-person movie. There are people in the cast, but like 90% of the time it is just the 3 of them. I love challenges. I really loved challenges. I would die for challenges. But being able to adapt that, and if I have to be nice to Stephen Levinson, like, I have to say good job on Tick Tick Boom, my man, I guess. But what else can I say on Tick Tick Boom? Tick Tick Boom. Oh, yeah, I did it at the Kennedy Center. It was great. Andrew Garfield got an award, got a Golden Globe for it, and I think he was snubbed at the Oscars because it was the same year as Eyes of Tammy Faye, which is a movie I liked. I liked him more as John, but maybe I'm biased because I also like think Jim Baker is one of the worst cretins to ever walk the earth. But you know, it is what it is. Evangelicals stay winning and I stay hating. I hate the world we're living in. Something else I was gonna. Also, he learned to sing for the role, which is crazy. As you feel like he's not the best singer, and I was like, yeah, but he's fine. You know, I can say this because Nell's not here. Russell Crowe is bad. You know. So anyway, next week we are gonna be doing Oliver. Yay! You're all gonna have to wait for a long time today, guys. You're gonna have to wait a lot longer for Oliver, but. Next week? Not tomorrow. I'm busy tomorrow. Nell's busy tomorrow. Is Oliver. And we're going to be doing that. And then, yeah, as we said, this year, the first half of this year is going to look a little bit different. And you guys aren't going to be able to notice it until, let me pull up the Notion. Until, load please. It'd be really good if you could load. Until... about the Olivier Awards. You're not going to be able to know Olivier nominations because we don't have a date yet for the Olivier nominations. Like, we have a date for the Tony nominations, but we don't have a date for the Olivier nominations. I've just penciled in when I'm like solid. I'm like 75% sure it'll be that around that time. So I was like, let's do it then. But from then on, we're going to be... I need to talk about Hamilton. Unfortunately, we have to redo Hamilton for many reasons. One, it gets far too mainstreamed. It's the most streamed episode. Stop streaming it. It's bad. I refuse to listen to it. It was the second episode we actually ever recorded, because we recorded Hamilton twice. That is the only episode we've ever done twice. And one of my dogs was almost dying. Wolf, he likes to die every so often. And he was like almost dying. And I was like crying down the phone to him, being like, oh yeah, like we have to put my dog down. And then I had to talk about fucking Hamilton. And also it was like the first one we ever did. So it was like the first egg, so like first pancake, never comes out the right way. And also like Hamilton is 10. And so many people are being like, oh my god, like Hamilton with the original cast is returning. It's like, no, they're not. Also, some of you were babies the first time around, so that freaks me out. Aging is weird. Also, we're gonna talk about Hadestown, our trip to the OBC. I think we're literally gonna record a thing talking about a review like right after we've seen it, because I should not be allowed to sit with my own thoughts for too long about that, or else I will just start, or else the editing will be horrific for me. What else are we going to do? We're going to redo Phantom. I found an academic article talking about how Andrew Lloyd Webber is a narcissist and is being haunted by Gaston Leroux, which I haven't told Nell about, so I plan to sneak attack her on air. And we're also going to do some rankings. We're still workshopping it. If anyone has any ideas or just like some chill stuff that we can do in advance, because we've both got dissertations to write. It's so fun. Let us know, and we will hear any and all ideas. And I think we should check out, like just send it our way. Send it our way. And we will be more than happy to oblige. Follow us on social medias. I'm quite good on the TikTok, and Nell's tweeted twice this week. So, you know, the only one we're not good on is Instagram, and that's my fault. But I have to get back on Instagram. Reels. The US government is going to make me go on Instagram Reels. Fuck them. Anyway, on that note, we will see you guys next week for Oliver. Bye-bye.